Hi, I'm Nathan, Ikonografik Design here on site. We're building a project that I helped design with a client. It's December, it's freezing cold, but that's part of the nature of building work. It's not weather friendly. So I help design buildings and help them get built. Primarily though, my approach is to listen to you, the client, and give you what you want. And as part of that process, what will come out of that is a building that you love and also a building that looks good. But having a building that looks good and is not buildable is not actually my main focus. It's about giving you what you want and helping deliver that. Here on site, we're looking at a project that's being built that we've been working on for the last year and a half, 2 years now, I think. It's quite an interesting one because it's the first time we've used this system of build called a ICF, which is Insulated Concrete Formwork. This particular system is called Isotex, comes from Italy. It's made out of recycled wood chips, and to create a mould, and then inside of it, it's got the insulation block already pre-formed in the factory. It basically creates a big Lego block, and these Lego blocks are stacked on top of each other. Then the holes are just filled with concrete and reinforced to steel reinforcing bars to create a very strong, energy efficient building structure. And it's quite quick, and it's also quite good value for money. It's quite cost effective, quite cheap. That shows the concrete holes in the sort of ICF Lego blocks. So that's the concrete being filled in there. So that's really quite strong. With my projects and the way I do things, my approach, I'll be able to save you stress, time and money, mainly through my attention to detail. It saves problems on site, makes it quicker and easier to build, and that makes it a lot cheaper from start to finish. I think a lot of my clients mainly focus on my quote and the end number. They don't see the value that I bring to a project from start to finish, and that's where I think I can provide the value is throughout the whole life of a project from start to finish, not just at the front end design process. But what's interesting in this one is because there was a planning permission for a bungalow here before, and the client had bought the project with the bungalow and the planning permission already in place. He wanted to build a bigger house, so he used that as a springboard, but the previous bungalow wasn't high enough, so he had to sink in to the ground about half a metre, go further into the ground, go tall up into the roof space to get more height, so you get 2 stories in. Because with the bungalow, it was just 1 story. You want to get a 2-story house in, so it's great extra. You have to stretch it up and down to get the extra height. So my design process, it generally starts off with an inquiry. Then following that, I'll have a booking and initial consultation, usually free of charge. Ideally at the site address, talk through the project, make some notes, do a lot of listening. And then following that, I'll give a quote in writing. And once we've got all the terms and conditions agreed, I can then start the design process. Depends on the project. We need to come back to the site and measure the site or measure the existing building, depends on what the work is. And then following that, issue the draft design drawings. The client or the client may not like them straight away. Simpler projects might only be, say, 4 or 5 drawings. Bigger projects could be 50, 60 plus drawings. So it depends how big and complex it is. I mean, I suppose, for example, it's a simple extension, say a single-story rear extension might be, say, 6 or 7 drawings. If it's, say, I did a doctor's surgery a few years ago, that's quite complicated. We had about 50, 60 drawings for a doctor's surgery project. So this is going to be the garage here. There'll be a staircase back here, I think. This won't all be open, this will be closed off eventually, but it's just to enable materials to come in. We've got quite strong, thick, called attic trusses. So these are quite big timbers, and the roof create quite a strong timber frame that is the floors and the roof at the same time, I suppose, but made in the factory and craned in place. After we've got the initial designs issued to the client, the client may want a few tweaks to get things just changed to exactly how they want them. So then I go through that process, iterative process, going backwards and forwards, changing things, making sure they're exactly happy with how they want it to be. Then after that, assuming you need planning permission, you then submit the planning application. Assuming that's signed off, you then work up the structural design in conjunction usually with the structural engineer, do the building regulations application, submit that, hopefully that's signed off. Then you might need a few more drawings to add to that, and then you can go to tender for contractors, get prices. Depends on the level of service that I've been employed for. I may or may not do that. If I'm employed to do that, I can then get quotes for builders and then manage the quoting process, make recommendations, then appoint a builder, get a building contract in place, and then manage the works on site with the builder, do regular site inspections. I'll help with the queries to the builder, look at any issues that might crop up on unforeseen situations, get those rectified and put right. Eventually, in a few months, maybe a couple of years, bigger projects, it's all delivered, everyone's happy, everyone moves in, and the rest is history. But it doesn't stop there though, because I suppose even after the project's finished, I'm on hand to help with any snags that might crop up, and then we can come back to the builder, get those rectified and put right. Even after the building work's finished, it's still on hand to help out with things as well. So that's part of the process. This will be the dining room. This will be a bathroom here, so that's a drainage pipe. This will be a guest bedroom. This will be the front door, hallway. There'll be some curved walls on these corners here. This will be the kitchen, going all the way back. There's some French doors. This room here will be the main sitting room, lounge, and here will be a playroom and a bar area for children. The bar area is not for children, but there'll be a bar area. What we tried to do primarily was to get views into the countryside. So you've got the big windows, lots of openings facing the countryside this way, and on the back, if you look through here, hopefully you see some nice views. Being on site today, this bit is really satisfying. Seeing something like this being built that you've helped design, that's a pretty good feeling.